So what are you guys doing sort of for referral patterns for workflows and maybe even interinstitutional collaborations? I got one of my first patients from Yale where they weren't enrolling. Samit Shah called me and said, listen, I heard you guys are doing the coronary sinus reducer. We're not up and running. He sent a patient all the way from Connecticut to have his coronary sinus reducer. Are you guys working on something like that? Or
we're part of a pretty big health system, kind of like you guys are. So really right now, the challenge is to get engaged with all of our local partners, because I think there's a lack of awareness even locally in terms of what's available. And so that's sort of been the main focus of what we've been engaged with. Cleveland was a little bit different because in Cleveland, our patients were kind of coming from all over the place. And they were honestly mostly coming for surgical evaluations, and they would trickle through the system, end up in interventional cardiology, and that's where we're getting the majority of our patients there. So it was a very different model entirely. This is much more of a local referral pattern, getting to know everybody and making sure that they all understand what we have to offer, because these are things that are relatively novel, and not too many people have awareness of the fact that these things exist.
so how do you, let's track on that a little bit. How do you get the word out that we have this trial and this tool potentially available for refractory angina patients to the community?
Yeah, it's a huge challenge. I was wondering if you had some great ideas to share with me, since I'm new to the neighborhood. I mean, we've done some grand rounds, and we've done some presentations at the med school, but in terms of trying to understand how to reach the people that are taking care of these patients, it's a very new practice setting for me, and I don't have a lot of great insight in terms of how to break into this. What's happening, which is similar to what happened in Cleveland, is that the CTO practice is starting to build up pretty rapidly, and that naturally lends itself to recruiting patients that are either not good cancer or revasc, or they've already been revasc and have ongoing symptoms.
Yeah, so that's obviously let's talk about a really practical challenge, right? And that is both your institution and my institution have pretty robust CTO programs. And to be honest, part of what we do and pride ourselves on is running this complex CTO program. And then becomes sort of the fine line for the clinical trial, which is coronary artery disease, which is deemed unrevascularizable. And so that's a moving target, isn't it? It might be different at different institutions. And so how do you determine, hey, I should do this CTO, it's going to be straightforward for me, or hey, this is starting to get to, a high level of risk, and I'm going to try to enroll this patient in COSIRA-II. I mean, that is really tough. So I was wondering if you had any insights on this. I can tell you what we're doing now, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I would tell you that talking to different operators around the country, actually around the world, in terms of their impression of what this therapy could do to their complex PCI practice, you hear all kinds of things. You hear some folks describe this as a helpful adjunctive tool, which is kind of how I look at it. And yet there are other operators who feel that this is somehow a threat to their practice. And it's an interesting dichotomy. I would say that this is really part of the algorithm. And I don't really see this as anything other than as part of the treatment algorithm. From medical therapy to PCI to surgery to advanced revascularization, including CTO PCI, this is just part of that algorithm. And understanding where this fits really has to do with the patient and the operator's understanding of the risks and the technical feasibility of the procedure. We both do some pretty interesting percutaneous revascularizations, and that some of these things, before you even get going, that it's going to just be a slog. It's going to take hours. The outflow is going to be moderate at best. And you got to be honest with the patient, and the patient and you have to have some shared decision-making in terms of what makes the most sense, because these trials are available, and a lot of these patients would be good candidates for these trials.
Yeah, I mean, what we've sort of decided to do as an institution is say, all right, let's pretend coronary sinus reducer was not available. we do attempt at revascularization as if it wasn't available. And then if the patient after revascularization either continues to have refractory symptoms or they have very high risk, like you have, your non-interventional collaterals, and you're talking about a greater than 5% morbidity or mortality from their procedure, then we're really going towards enrolling them in COSIRA. And that's been successful for us. I mean, I think we have lulls too. We're on 15 randomizations, so we've got a little bit of muscle memory about the procedure too, and I think that's very good. But the main thing, honestly, that I think has made us, in quotation marks, successful in the COSIRA-II trial is really involving our research coordinators and having a group of people together that are going to follow the patients through the patient journey. I'll give an example of my sort of first patient, the one who came from Connecticut, actually. He got to the front of the hospital and he had to walk from the front of the hospital to my office, which is in the outpatient building, which is about 200 yards. And he really had a lot of chest pain doing that. And I told this patient, okay, we're going to have to put you on the treadmill twice within a week. He lived in Connecticut. He had to come back for this procedure twice within a week. And after really having some long discussions with him and talking to him about what the pathway was going to be, was really how we engaged the patient and the coordinators on what this process entails. It's not simple. It's not like enrolling in a drug-eluting stent trial and say, hey, you want drug-eluting stent A or drug-eluting stent B, and we're just going to check which one is different. It's not even like a drug therapy where you take a tablet or a shot once in a while. This is really a pathway, okay? You're going to need to have an angiogram within 12 months that shows that you have unrevasculable coronary disease. You're going to have to document left-sided ischemia. You're going to have to be on a stable medical regimen for 3 months without a single change, now a month without a change in your medical therapy. You're going to have a treadmill with reproducibility within 30 seconds. There's a lot to get enrolled in this trial. And so it's important to really have a high quality research team and really have a research coordinator champion who's going to follow these patients and stay in touch with them to make it successful.
100% agree. It's just not possible. This is such a longitudinal process to get this done.